Have you ever seen a poll and just wondered, how can they be so sure about something when they only talk to, like, 1,000 people? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on the powerful tool that lets us do exactly that, the 95% confidence interval. And trust me, this isn't just for your stats class, this is for making sense of the world around you.
So here's our game plan. First, we're going to dig into a common problem with data. Then, we'll introduce the really elegant solution, and I'll show you exactly how to read it. From there, we'll get into the most powerful part, using it to compare different groups. And finally, we'll wrap it all up by learning how to use this tool to tell a really strong and honest story with your data.
All right, let's dive right in. To really get why we need confidence intervals, we first have to talk about the limits of just using a simple average.
I mean, think about it. When you see a poll, they didn't ask everyone in the country, right? Of course not. They asked a smaller group, a sample. So the million-dollar question is, how much can we really trust that the sample's average actually reflects what everyone thinks? There's always going to be some uncertainty there.
A simple average, what we call the mean, it gives us one number. It's our best guess for sure, but it's an incomplete picture. It doesn't tell us how confident we should be in that guess. Is it a super precise estimate, or is it more of a shot in the dark?
And that right there brings us to the hero of our story, the confidence interval. It's the perfect solution to this whole problem of uncertainty.
Now, if you crack open a textbook, this is probably the first thing you're going to see. A couple of really intimidating-looking formulas. And let's be honest, your eyes probably glaze over a little bit. That is completely normal.
So you know what? Let's just forget them. Seriously. For what we're doing here, understanding why we use them and how to interpret them is so much more important than memorizing the math. This is all about practical understanding. So what is it then? It's actually pretty simple. It's a range of plausible values. Instead of giving us just one number, a 95% confidence interval gives us a lower boundary and an upper boundary. We can then say we're 95% confident that the real average for the entire population is hiding somewhere in that range. It's a way to measure our certainty.
Okay, so we know what a confidence interval is. Now let's get into what it's actually telling us. And the secret? It's all about its size.
The width of the interval tells you everything you need to know about precision. A big, wide interval, like the one on the left, that's kind of a warning sign. It's telling you to be cautious, that your estimate is less precise. And that often happens when you have a smaller sample size. On the flip side, a tight, narrow interval, like the one on the right, that's great news. It means your estimate is way more precise and you can be more confident in your result. And you usually get that with a larger sample.
Okay, this is where confidence intervals really become a superpower. Their most common and honestly most powerful use is for comparing the averages of different groups to see if they're really different from each other.
Let's look at a real-world example to see how this works. This chart shows data on the average number of lifetime sexual partners for men, and it's broken down by how religious they say they are. The height of each bar, that's the average for that group. And those little eye-shaped bars on top, sometimes they're called whiskers or error bars. Those are our 95% confidence intervals.
So, how do we interpret this thing? It is surprisingly easy. All you have to do is follow what I call the overlap rule. It's simple. If the confidence intervals for two groups do not overlap, we can be pretty sure the difference between them is real and meaningful. But if they do overlap, we have to pump the brakes. We can't be sure the difference isn't just due to random chance. Okay, let's put that rule to the test. Zoom in on the very religious group on the far left. See how its confidence interval, that little whisker on top, is all by itself? It's not touching any of the others? That's our signal. No overlap means a real difference. We can be pretty confident this group's average is genuinely different from the others. Now let your eyes drift over to the other three groups, moderately, slightly, and not religious at all. See how their confidence intervals all kind of bleed into each other? They overlap? That tells us we have to be careful. We can't confidently say that the differences in their averages are actually real. All right, you've done the analysis. You get the overlaps. Now comes what is maybe the most important part, communicating what you found clearly and honestly.
A simple table like this one is your best friend. It clearly shows the sample size for each group, the mean, and of course that all-important 95% confidence interval. It's clean, it's professional, and it gives your reader everything they need to know at a glance.
When you find a clear difference, one where there's no overlap, like with our very religious group, you can write about it with confidence.
It's great practice to state your finding and then immediately give the numbers, the mean and the confidence interval, to back it up, just like you see here. But it's just as crucial to know how to write about uncertainty. When those intervals overlap, you have to say it. This example here shows you exactly how to do that professionally. And remember, acknowledging this isn't a weakness. It's actually a strength. It's an honest and accurate description of your data.
And hey, before we wrap up, I've got a little pro tip for you that will save you a ton of time. Instead of having to calculate all this stuff one by one, you can use a command called a one-way ANOVA in most stats programs to generate a perfect summary table just like this one automatically.
Here are the exact steps. You literally just navigate to the one-way ANOVA menu, you pop your variables into the right boxes, click that little statistics button and check descriptives, and boom, done. It is that easy.
So when you boil it all down, the crucial point is this. Confidence intervals are about more than just numbers. They are about being intellectually honest. They let us move beyond just a single, simple average and allow us to tell a richer, more complete, and frankly, more truthful story with our data.
And that really just leaves us with one final thought. The next time you're reading an article or you see a poll that just reports an average, what's the first thing that should pop into your head to ask for? You got it, the confidence interval. It is the key to knowing how much you can really truly trust the numbers.